Welcome back to the home of the true, fair, and balanced. And welcome back to Midpoint. The Regional Operations Director for CAIR, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, Nezar Hamze. And also let us welcome in from the Levant.com, joining us via Skype, Catherine Shakdam. Catherine, I'm going to address something that you just said a few moments ago. And this is something that I want you both to address, please. You talked about the peace of Islam. This is what happens usually, and I'll bet you've both seen this before. I have in front of me a document that people put out on the websites, different websites, and they have different comments from the Quran. And they claim that this is what they live by. Quote, "But as for those who disbelieve, garments of fire will be cut out for them. Boiling fluid will be poured down on their heads, whereby that which is in their bellies and their skins too will be melted, and for them are hooked rods of iron." That is coming from the Quran, chapter 22, verse 19 to 21. Catherine, to you first. How can people understand and be made to believe that it is a religion of peace when they have words like this in the Quran that are constantly being quoted by the terrorists and the people who want to kill others?
Well, first of all, those words are being taken out of context. And I'm sure that if you read the Bible or the Torah, you will find as well, violent messages. And I think most of the time it's a lack of understanding of what Islam is and how those words were framed within the Quran. So that's my first point. Now, when it comes to this huge misunderstanding and this belief that Islam is inherently violent, I think it is due to a lack of leadership and unity within Islam itself. I mean, there's different schools of thoughts within Islam that are fighting with each other and calling each other, apostates and infidels. And I think that's the main issue here. Islam is divided. The Muslim community is divided. There's a lack of leadership, a lack of unity, and a lack of a message. People don't have a cohesive message, a religious message.
Okay, perfect. What you've just said right there, I'm going to agree. Leadership, unity, and message is our same thing. I hate to put it like this, but it's simple. Where then are the good Muslim leaders? Where are the positive ones out in the community that every time something happens like the Oklahoma beheading that's out there, any sort of crime, they're out there saying, this is not the Muslim faith. This is not us. We don't see that. Where is that?
Well, the reality is that all the Muslim organizations in the United States consistently, every single time something happens, in the beheading, a terrorist act happens, they consistently put out messages. We put out press releases. We try to do media interviews and spread the message that this is unacceptable in Islam. But not only for the terrorist acts. Another thing that the Muslim community does very well here in the United States is we give back to the community.
But why don't we? I understand that, but I have to keep on point here.
Sure.
Why then do we not see those positive messages? Press releases are like this. They get thrown out by the news departments just like that. So why aren't they out there?
Well, I mean, all we can do is get the message out and try to come, like on the show, to come and give the message and try to educate the larger community on what Islam is. That's really all the resources we have, and that's why I mentioned yesterday that we need help. We need help to get the true message out, to combat the extremism, to combat individuals like Chaudhry, because it is dangerous.
Catherine, then to you, what needs to be changed then in order? We've talked about it here from an American standpoint. What about from the international standpoint? How do you find that leader, I guess? There's got to be somebody who's willing to gamble and do it in front of the cameras.
We need a platform. I think that at this moment in time, what we need is to promote the real Islam, what people are really truly about, what this faith is about, and we need to combat fear and terror, because terrorists are feeding off fear, and this is how they manage to stay in the headlines, through fear.
Then how do you combat that fear, Catherine? How do you combat that fear?
A platform. We need to tell people about what Islam really is and what it is all about and what people truly believe in. It's not a religion of violence. Muslim people do not live for violence. What they live for is peace. And this message is getting lost in translation, quite literally, because it is, it's for the headlines. It's much more profitable to talk about Islam in a negative way than to try to promote a message of peace, because people do not want peace.
Then whose responsibility is it? I need to ask you, and then I'm going to ask Nezar, whose responsibility is then very quickly then to create that platform and get it done?
What we need is Muslims to take responsibility for their silence, because I think they are too silent. They need to step up a little bit, and the media need to understand that by instilling fear and promoting fear of Islam, they are not helping the narrative. They are not helping the equation. They are only feeding the terrorist agenda. And we need to take, I think all of us need to take responsibility.
All right, now I'm going to point out, and we're again very short on time, but Catherine's right, get somebody out there. Again, it's got to come down to it, and the Muslim community itself needs to take the responsibility. Wouldn't you agree? There's got to be somebody brave enough to step in front of the cameras like yourself and Catherine, get out here and say, we're not a bunch of murderous killers, we are seeking peace. We don't see that enough.
Well, you know, the door is always open, and we absolutely, here in the United States, not only my organization, CAIR Florida, but the rest of the Muslim organizations in the United States are there. And they are giving that message, and they are really trying to reach out and build the relationships and educate people on what Islam is and what the Muslim community stands for. But it's a two-way. It's a two-way relationship. People have to have their hand extended.
Two-way relationship, that's necessary. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to see you again. We'll look forward to the next time we see you. And Nezar, thank you so much for being here. We will continue to try to get the message out, indeed, and do your part as well. All right, later on this hour, the knee-jerk reaction over a touchdown celebration. And after the break, loud music and a man with a gun becomes a flashpoint. That's all coming up right here on Midpoint.